What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Angie's World Podcast. Today, I am joined by my people, DWI, Damien Williams, aka The Matrix Studio, and Kevin Pryor. I want to give y'all proper introduction. Damien is a 20-year business owner. He's a studio and event space producer, an interviewer, a podcaster. And Kev is a radio personality. He's a sports commentator, a marketing guru, and he owns an app and a radio show. You guys just have a whole bunch of stuff going on. And I just want to say thank you very much for coming to my podcast and joining me today, guys.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure. Pleasure is all mine.
Thank you so much. So the title of this episode is called Respect the Business Owner Part 2. Right before the holidays, I did a Respect the Business Owner Part 1, and that did so well that I got feedback and people wanted me to showcase more business owners. And, I feel like, as business owners, you guys throughout the whole year give to the community, serve the community. And I just wanted to do this show to give flowers to the business owners and showcase y'all and just give back in a way to show the consumers' appreciation and everybody's appreciation for you guys. But before we get into, Kevin and Damien's story, I like to do a little bit of wellness check. We'll start with you, Kev. How are you?
I'm blessed. I can't complain. Again, I take every day one step at a time. 2022 came in a little rough for me with my family. My mother had taken ill, but thank God she's feeling better. But yeah, things are good. Can't complain. Every day above dirt's a good day.
Absolutely. That's what's up. And how are you doing, Damien? Today, this episode's not going to come out for probably about 2 weeks, but I know you had a long day today. Tell us a little bit about the event that you did today for the families in the Bronx fire.
All right. Well, early January, there was a huge fire that started in the Bronx on a Sunday, and it pretty much killed 19 people. I believe nine babies. So me and my guy DJ Famous came together and brought together a bunch of other DJs, and we did a marathon, and we raised some money for the community. News 12 came in, did an interview with us, and it was cool. That was a good experience. I'm always happy to be a part of something, especially in my borough in the Bronx, that helps bring awareness to someone in need of some help. So that was
salute to you on that day.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Salute on that. And how was your New Year? How was your holiday? Is everything good with you, Damien?
New Year was good. As an entrepreneur, prior to Christmas, I was working 3 different streams of income. And then when the holiday time came around, it's pretty much like all 3 stopped working at the same time. So I had one of those times, I like to call it, because it's like a time in every entrepreneur's life where you just have a time where you can't throw the rock in the ocean like a basketball player. Like you can't hit the net for nothing. You know what I mean? So I had that time, but I know this time around I have a nice supporting cast of family, my lady. So everybody's been like just still positive and it hasn't been too depressing, but it's a mental note like that I took to self that we definitely don't want to be here no more. So yeah, but it's going good.
Yes, thank you, God, that everybody is safe and everybody's here, and rest in peace to everybody who lost their life in the Bronx fire, and keep doing the work, and there's so many different outlets to donate, so everybody just be thankful for a day above ground, your life and your family. All right, so we're gonna get to know to the people who are tapped into me. I know Kevin, I know Damien in different ways. We're gonna get to know them a little bit more. We'll start with Damien. We're going to get into Damien's life. We got a lot of stuff in common. We've had like similar childhoods and stuff, but the first time I met Damien was probably back in, I want to say 2005. He had a studio in the Bronx called the Matrix Studio. And I went there when I was younger. I was like probably in my early to mid 20s, and I auditioned to be on a podcast. So that was the very first time that I met Damien. He was producing and he was running around the studio. We didn't get to have like a full conversation, but it was known that that was his studio that was housing the radio show. And this is when radio shows were like online. It was before like podcasting blew up, because it was like the mid 2000s. That was the very first time that I met Damien. Fast forward all these years later, last year I was on Clubhouse and I actually bumped into Damien, and we wound up linking up and creating a group with Broadway called What New York Sounds Like, which we run on Clubhouse. And by the time y'all see this, y'all had already have seen the show that I have with Broadway, which actually aired today. So we definitely gave Damien a shout out. So now y'all gonna get to know Damien now. So yeah, besides Clubhouse and me meeting you all these years ago, you've always owned your own business since I've known you. So it's definitely been like 20 plus years that you've had this. Before you go into like how you created the Matrix Studio, do you want to tell people a little bit about yourself? I know you're from the Bronx, and like how you, like a little bit about your upbringing and how you got into producing and eventually opening up your own studio.
So yeah, I've been producing radio for a little, I guess it's 20 years, but I had my own studio for 22 years, which this actually is the technical 20 years of podcasting and broadcasting for me.
Congratulations.
In February. I remember I have a mixtape that I did with Promo Radio. That was the first thing that it was on 91.9 FM with my guy Jesse Jess, and I produced their show. And it was in February that aired on 91.9 FM. So definitely the anniversary is coming up. The official 20 years is coming up for radio. And I've had my business since I was 25 years old. And it started in my apartment in the Northeast Bronx, up on 235th and White Plains. So that's where it all began for me.
So tell me a little bit about what made you want to even get into that. What were you doing prior to that? How did you know that this is what you wanted to do? And what made you kind of like have the courage to just go forward and do it?
All right. So my uncles are both DJs and music producers from young. That's what they did. They, one of them was dabbling into selling drugs, and the other one was a cable worker. But on the side, they played a lot of video games back in television and ColecoVision and Commodore 64. And then one took the straight road, one took the other road. They both were really good at DJs in the neighborhood where I was from, up on Boston Road. And I was influenced by them because I left from my mother's house at 13 because we were taken out of my mother's house with BCW right when I went to graduate from junior high school. And they took me and placed me with my grandmother, with my two uncles and my two sisters. And I was right in the middle where I wanted to be, right? And they had all the albums, the records, the record players, the turntables. They had everything. All I had to do was just press play and go. So I learned just by watching them. And I was a music lover because I believe music is in our family. And I started getting into it. I started making mixtapes in my younger teenage years, and then after I graduated, I graduated in '93 from high school. I went in '95. I went down south to South Carolina to go to Morris in Sumter, South Carolina. And I remember when I went down there, I took all of this computer equipment and I was sampling music and all that. Before that, prior to me leaving, Swiss Beats was my neighbor across the street. So he used to come and take records that I used to borrow from my uncle.
Okay.
Records. So Swiss Beats, me and him were close. He used to come over. He's a younger guy for me. He's like 3 years younger than me. So he would come and just borrow some records to go work on some stuff that he was working on with an artist named DMX that I didn't know nothing about at the time. It was just like a guy that he was working with. So that was one person that I watched early in my career, like go through the stages of the music. And while he was doing his thing, I started to grow. When I came back from college and that didn't work out, I started working at a part-time job at Crate and Barrels down on 59th Street. And then that turned into a full-time job. But as I worked for the 6 years there, I started buying equipment. Every time I got a tax return, that whole money, like if it was $1,500, the whole money went to one piece of equipment or two pieces of equipment. Like I didn't do nothing else with the money, but buy equipment. So that's what happened. So I started collecting my equipment early, and while I was working at that job, I started recording because I really felt really close to being a recording engineer, because I just really was into the technical side of it. And once I realized, I started recording with artists like AG, Grand Puba, and people like that came to my apartment to record, because relationships that they had, AG was cool with my uncle, and Grand Puba was cool with me, and Quintessence, they made me feel confident, like, oh shoot, I recorded them and they sound just like they sound on the record. So my confidence was up, maybe just because they were just so official that they didn't need no auto-tune or nothing like that. So for me, it built up my confidence. And then after that, I started doing radio and working with the independent artists in the neighborhood, and I started making some money from that. And then when I quit my day job, I was just like, oh, I don't really need to work here, because I can make the same money, or at least enough to pay my rent at home.
Right.
So I was doing part-time. So I built the confidence up, basically just recording with local artists in the beginning.
That's so dope that you actually in the earlier days was recording with Grand Puba. He's a legend. These are like rappers that, people just, from all over the world listen to growing up, and you were in the mix with that, growing with these people. And when Swizz Beatz was your neighbor across the street, he probably was, I think me and Swizz are around the same age, so he probably was a teenager back then. You know what I'm saying? Like, who would have known, you know what I'm saying? Growing up to be Swizz Beatz. But that's super dope. So now you're in the mix, you've quit your day job, you've already saved enough money to get your basic equipment. Now, back then, they didn't have YouTube, they didn't have tutorials. You weren't in school for engineering, so a lot of your stuff was self-taught, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, that's definitely commendable. Tell me what it was like, when you opened your very first studio spot. Like, what were your challenges, being so young, never owning a business? I'm sure the money wasn't like coming in. Was there ever a situation where you're like, oh, I did the wrong thing? How am I gonna, sustain this?
So no, I never ran into that wall, because I felt like, I think I knew about how much money I needed. Like, I just did the math of what the rent was, and not saying that it was always good, but I just knew exactly what I needed to live, to survive, just to do just to pay the bills. I was capable of making at least that amount. It was like maybe $1,500 a month. The rent was like $1,200, and then whatever the other little bills, like phone bill and Con Edison and cable, that all came up to like $1,500 to $1,700. So I was able to figure that out and start making it. Very early, I was organized. I started using QuickBooks. So I was like really like structured already with, all right, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta do this right. So I would take like business, free business classes, and just learn and read and buy self-help books. I was a self-help geek.
Right.
I was like reading everything. I was just reading whatever I needed to advance me. And I'm not a reader like that, but at that time, those books were very helpful, because they would just tell you, the goods, the bads, and the in-betweens, and then you just got to figure out what works for you. So I'm like a hands-on type of person. I can't really go and watch somebody teach me for 9 months and then go do it. I got to do it along the way. So I got to have like to do something. And I think that's just the type of learner I am.
That's what's up, D. All right, hold your thought right there, D. We're going to come back to you, what you got going on in the future. We're going to talk about some hot topics. I have a game that we're going to play. I'm going to stop you right there. We're going to switch over to Kev, and we're going to get to know Kev a little bit more, and then we'll come back over to Damien. So give me one moment. Kev, what is up?
Everything is everything. I made it, Mama. I'm on the Angie World show. So
it is such a funny story that I'm going to tell my listeners, my supporters, and how I met Kev. Now, this is Kev's Instagram. Y'all go tap in with Kev. I'm going to put his little stuff on the bottom here. All right. So I met Kev on Clubhouse. I think I might have met you through What New York Sounds Like, through myself, Damien, and Broadway's Club. And I remember, you asked me to be on your, and I'm not going to say podcast, it's a radio show, because Kev doesn't like the word podcast. So he asked me to be on his radio show, and I had so much fun on your radio show. I went down to Brooklyn to Damien's Damien has 2 studios. He has a spot in Brooklyn and the Bronx. So I went to Brooklyn and I recorded for your show. And it was like, you know, I got bit by the bug since then. It's kind of like a snowball ever since I did your podcast. And then I tapped in with my peoples at What's the Numbers TV, then Broadway's podcast, then my own podcast. So it's like a snowball effect. But you were definitely part of the puzzle that gave me that push and confidence to just do it. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate you for that. And also, you know, being around Damien and Broadway and everybody else and having that creative group of friends definitely gave me that push. So this is not about me and my podcast, but I just want to give us a little bit of a background. Kev is super dope. You have such an interesting story. Like I said, you know, you're a radio personality, a sports commentator, a marketing guru. You have your own app. It's a family business. You're running so many businesses. But before you got to that level, take us back a little bit. You know, just how you got into kind of music and radio in the beginning of your career that led you to where you are now.
Well, for me, you know, my journey is really just from just being in advertising. I've been in the advertising game 20 years, right? And, you know, working in terrestrial radio, selling advertising, working with some of the largest companies, even having clients such as like Sony, the NFL, Subway, doing this type of stuff that I've now moved into was not on my agenda. About 9 years ago, my brother Rodeo, who at the time was, you know, really starting to do the stand-up stuff, came to me and was like, he was trying to grow his brand. So I said, hey, why don't you just do a show? And at that time, and it's not that long ago, but we didn't have all these little creative apps and tools. So I was like, there was a thing called Blog Talk. So I'm like, why don't you just do a Blog Talk show? Unbeknownst to me, did not want to be involved in it. I was working for a terrestrial station Monday through Friday and selling advertising and doing promotions for networks. And that was not my thing. But because it was my brother, I said, let me help him out. And I was trying to find co-hosts, and anybody who knows my brother Rodeo knows, you know, he can be a handful at times. So it's the only one I can try to hold him down on it. And
he's the comedian?
He's the comedian.
Okay, yes. Okay, I know who that is.
So we started doing shows, and we're doing it at a friend of ours, somebody I met, put us on. She had a beauty parlor / tattoo parlor on 3rd Avenue. So we were just doing the shows there. And at that time, even though I was in radio, I got to be honest, I really wasn't into it.
Right.
So we would just get on mic and just start it was just like, we were just like back when I was in high school, just snapping on people, just like we just take somebody and just rip them to shreds. And all it was just a laugh fest. So I came to a conclusion like, you know what, I'm done with this. I was coaching youth football at the time. I'm like, my weekends can't do it. I can't do everything.
Right.
So I was on Twitter, and I was talking to one of my former clients on the West Coast. And you know, when you speak to somebody you haven't spoken to in a while, and they go like, "Oh, what you doing?"
Right. And
now the show, radio show, podcast, anything you want to call it, it wasn't what it is now. So I don't even know why I mentioned it, but as I'm typing, and they always say, "Don't hit send," I hit send, and I'm like, "Why did I mention that?" So she was like, "Well, hey, look, you know, you got a show that's great. You know, would you be interested in interviewing an adult actress?"
Right.
This adult actress at the time was, you know, all over social media, and it's funny because Kanye's in the news. They had made a sex parody about Kim and Kanye, and she was hit TMZ and stuff. So I'm like, sure. So we did the interview, and the interview that some circuit was on. We was on this little infant circuit that only can last for the 300 people, and it blew it up.
It went viral.
Right. So it made me think like maybe I've been looking at this thing the wrong way. So I went to my brother and I said, look, if we're going to do this, I gotta take this thing over. He said, I've been waiting for you to say that. So then I got, you know, another friend of mine I've known for many years, Backstage Ed, aka Eddie Brown, aka Backstage Ed. And then obviously I met this man here at the bottom picture. Because I said, we got to find a studio. Because at the time, we were just doing it at the beauty parlor and at somebody's house. And I'm like, 3 black guys doing a show in somebody's house in Mount Vernon equals Get Indicted Radio. And that's not I'm not trying to have that.
Right.
So, somebody had told me about The Matrix, and me and D, well, I didn't know D until that time. We knew a lot of the same people. And we just kind of flowed with it. And we started doing the show there. And once we started going to DSN, for me anyway, and I told this to him a million times, I tell anybody to ask, it just started to make my creative juices go a little higher, because obviously I had this advertising background. Ed, my partner, was a techie. He was the gadget man. And then, we added some other players to the mix. Eventually we added my boy Justin, aka Just the Classic Man. And Steph Pearl came a little later. But we started to do this organic rise. And then I was starting to reach out to people through my connects that I can bring on the show. Major names like, Michael Bivens and Lilo Bencado and Dante Hoagland, that's on the show with Tracy Morgan, and D-Train, and, all these are Heather Hunter. So all these people we started to bring on, and we started to grow. And while we started to grow, I started to reach out to networks, because I felt like, the industry, being in the industry, you can't just stand in one spot. Right. You got to put yourself in a lot of different layers. So then we partnered with a radio network, a distribution group, and we got on a bunch of radio stations. Then we linked with iHeart, and we've grown this thing. And then 2018, again, D, who's been a major component to our brand and our growth, he brings up this politician that he met, and he goes, "Yo, you want to interview in your show?" Because we had, at that time, we weren't a political show, but we can flip it up and mix it in a little bit. And it was a little known politician named Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. At that time, nobody knew who she was, and just she might have been wasting the time. But nevertheless, when D moved into his new studios on around in the Mott Haven section, I remember was kind of the first interview we did. It was around this time of year. Brick cold, woman comes in with a camera. She can't be but $110 soaking wet. Takes off her jacket, arms showing, like, let's do the interview. So I'm like, okay, this woman's about her business. So we do an interview and we make it work. 8 months later, unbeknownst to me, somebody calls me up and says, "Yo, I saw you on Netflix." Like, what? Come on, man. Netflix. So then I get another call from some other person, and that, see somebody tag something. I think it was somebody who knew D. They tagged them because obviously DSN was in DSN Studios, so it was plastered out. And I got a message from the producers, and they said, "Yeah, we used your interview over the Breakfast Club, over Rosenberg and Ebro, because you guys had the best connection." Now, at that time, we were in a nice flow. We were bringing in some nice guests. So that just kind of took us over the top. And then I started to look at the show and say, you know what? We can be like that kind of Bill Maher-ish, Howard Stern-ish, where, like, we're not trying to be political, but we can make you human. And that started to open the door for other politicians, Jamal Bowman. We just had Sanduke McFadder, Natalia Fernandez. So it started to open that lane up, which wasn't a lane we were trying to go through, but you be smart. When you get a crack, you take advantage of it. And the show has grown to a point where we play in multiple markets every morning. We started our own radio network, own stream that's on multiple platforms. I partnered with a couple other people to create a new streaming TV network that will launch this winter. And on top of that, the show is in a really good place, to the point now where we're looking to grow the 950. I call it 950 Nation. It's bigger than just us. When we first started doing this thing, and then we got our sea legs, the goal was to get picked up. Like a lot of small businesses, you do something to get acquired. And as the industry started to change, I felt like, you know what, why we need to do that? Because at the end of the day, we've had some offers from big networks, I won't mention them here, that have come to me and said, let's do a deal. And then they didn't know what I did for a living. And you put out a contract. And I'm like, well, my name ain't Kunta Kinte or Toby. So it doesn't make sense, because we're not doing this after you sign deals and lawyers and stuff for a couple of grand. So I huddled back with my group and said, let's just create our own lane. Obviously, somebody likes us. If they're offering us deals, let's say the deals ain't what we want, but if these major networks that we see the people that maybe you idolize on TV or on radio, and they offer us the same type, not the same type of deals, but they're offering us deals, then we have put ourselves in a position where we can really take this thing to the next level. And, I don't blush anymore when it comes to what I do, how I do it. I'm a student of the game. I'm always looking to learn. I'm always looking to acquire more knowledge, but I'll take my group and I'll take my skills with anybody. And along with that, through the process of 950, it's also opened up some other doors for me. Before I was ever thinking about doing radio and talk, I was always a sports guy. That was kind of my background. I had, played some football and had some things there. And now I do a sports show, and I'm starting my own sports show this winter that will kind of focus on outside the line stuff. And like I said, I'm excited for what I'm doing, and the future is very bright with everything that's going on.
That's what's up. I was definitely going to segue into asking you about the sports commentary that you do. Tell us a little bit about what you do with the sports segment that you do now, and how, and a little bit about, we'll go into what you look forward to in 2022, but tell us a little bit about what you're doing now with the sports commentary and where they can find you.
Right. Well, how it started was I had a guest on my show, sports commentator, somebody from the West Coast, a colleague of mine named Jackie Ray, who I invited her onto my show, and then she invited me onto her show. And while I did her show, her producers was like, wow, this guy's really good. And I guess they did their research, and then they was like, yo, why don't you be our fill-in guy on this network called The Fumble? So I started doing that, and then that opened up another door because somebody saw that and was like, yo, can we bring you in to do a clubhouse show on Tuesday nights? I do a football show with a guy named Terrell Jones, used to be with the San Francisco 49ers. And we do a sports show, football centric. And then through that, somebody else reached out to me about a sports podcast. And I said, look, I'm actually going to do my own so I can bring my show to your network and we can work out an advertising deal, whatever.
That's what's up.
70-30. And that's what we're doing now. And obviously I'm going to run it on my house, Backstage Radio. We'll run it on the podcast streams that we now have. And obviously it'll play on our TV component, Catch Card. So
right.
Again, when I think about 950, how we're looking to go, I know my brother Rodeo's getting back on stage this spring. Just Ed and Stephanie all talking about doing some different things. It's almost like it's like Wu-Tang, right? Like
right.
Wu-Tang is the 950 is the thing that comes together, but we'll all have our own little separate things. And the sports thing is something I'm very passionate about because, like I said before, there was a 950 Kev or the quote unquote LeBron James or radio game. There was a kid that used to write pro on his walls and get spankings from his mother from that, and somebody who played football and dreamed of that, had a CFL tryout many years ago, which obviously didn't work out, but that's always been something of mine. And coaching was what my staple before the show became more of my vision, but sports is a passion, so I'm excited about that, and it's something you do on your own. Like the 950 thing, I there's no greater joy than work with my group, but to do something that it's just central to you is a different type of celebration.
That's what's up, Kev. So we're going to come back to you, Kev, and we're going to talk about what everybody's future plans are in 2022. I'm going to bring it back over to Damien. Damien, so now you got your studio, it's in full swing, you moving, you booked and busy, people are coming in, they're doing their radio shows. I'm talking about pre-pandemic. Tell me, would you say that because a lot of people have to give their flowers to Damien, because a lot of people started out at the Matrix Studios that you see. I just remember being at his studio back in mid 2000s and just seeing Tretch hanging around or seeing, this celebrity or that celebrity. But a lot of people that are blown up now that you see in the media started off at Damien's studio. So would you say that word of mouth kind of gave your studio traction, or how was that, to be able to work with these legends and see them go off to do such great things, throughout the years?
So I believe definitely word of mouth is my number one, because I can't like really say that I gave Kev enough money to say that he got me popping. Like I think we did it organically. He just showed me different ways to do different things to bring more attention to what we're doing, to keep money inside the house and just make people pay for our expenses. But prior to meeting Kev, I had my guy Mike Moderator for most of my young career, because I think when I first started in 2004, 2005, Moderator might have came along by way of my guy Charlie Watt, which is my mentor, and that him and Charlie Watt used to work together. So that's how I met Mike Moderator, and we started doing Bridging the Gap 101, which was a hip hop show where we had Cool Mo D, Cool Herc. Like we had, before I started doing all the big artists, we started with those artists, with those those pioneers, which helped me understand like the structure of these guys have been out here, 20 plus years, and people don't give them their flowers. So it got the mindset of focusing on them and not chasing Jay-Z and anybody that was out in the 90s, because I felt like we'll get to them. Like they, at some point, what goes up must come down. So they're gonna be looking for an interview. But by way of starting the internet radio at that time, it was a gift. It was a big gift, but it was a curse at the same time, because people were so hell bent on the media of the mainstream media of TV and radio that the internet just wasn't what it is now. So it was just like a fighting battle all the time to get people to come to the studio, because it was almost like, why would I even come there? What are we doing? Like, what is the internet?
Right.
It was one of those, what is that type of thing for everybody that came. So it was always the selling point of explaining to them that, yo, look, I can watch this on my cell phone, because I found the way to watch it on my cell phone by way of one of the apps I had on the BlackBerry. So I was like, man, in a couple of years, man, it's going to be crazy when you can just watch an interview on your phone. And I was doing that back then in 2005, with in beta mode. And then next thing you know, I guess in 2009, I don't know, whenever the iPhone came out, boom, now we got the iPhone where you can FaceTime and you can like talk to people via, looking at each other outside. I mean, they had all that through AIM and all that. They had different ways you can do it, but it wasn't like free flowing. So for me, when it got to that point, I was like, wow, like I just I'm a visionary. So I seen it. Like I seen how everything was going to be going exactly how it is right now. I seen it. I saw how it was going to be a long time ago. Not automatically to the way it is, but I just knew that it would be this. Like, because I've seen the Jetsons. We all seen the Jetsons. So
right.
Okay, we're going to be doing that soon. I seen technology moving, and I would get everything that would come out that would advance me more further than the average person that would just buy a phone and whatever, just to have their basic consumer, needs. I was going above and beyond because I was a techie. So I just needed whatever was new and cool, like Dr. Spock. I needed a flip phone. I needed the extra beeper that you can actually just press the play button on it, and you have to go put a quarter in the phone. You just play back and listen to the message and the beeper. I paid the extra money for that because I'm like, why would I even waste money when I could just hear the message and decide if I want to call back? So from early age, I knew that I was gonna be a part of something that was very groundbreaking and changing.
Absolutely. And if you didn't know this, let me tell you something, D. When you talk about the history, when you talk about hip hop and you talk about historical moments and you talk about the history and you want to talk about Red Alert, Ralph McDaniel's Video Music Box, Funk Flex, DJ Clue, somewhere in these history books, you at the Matrix Studio deserve your place in history, because like I said, a lot of people started out there, and after 20 years, the Matrix Studio is a staple. And I believe that you deserve your flowers, and that's part of the reason why I wanted you on this podcast. And I always tell you that, you know, what you did is legendary. You understand what I'm saying? So let me ask you a question. Do you believe that you get your just due, or you feel like you still have something to prove?
Oh, it's 60-40. I think 60, I get it, but the way that they give it up is kind of in a way where it's only when it's like if I'm in the building or somebody, if it's referenced, then it's like, oh yeah, DWI is the guy that started me. It's my first guy. But it's not like they don't just go stand like some of the people that made it out of my camp. They don't get in front of the cameras and say, you know, oh yeah. Probably subconsciously they'd be like, yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. But I don't hear it enough. I don't see enough advertised. I don't see enough like promo of interviews where they mention me, like where I'm like mentioned. But my peers, everybody that mentions me in front of me will say what you just said. Well, yeah, you was doing it way before everybody else. So that part I know, and I probably don't need people to say that, but it'd be nice you know, for it not to be when I'm not here no more, that people actually recognize that. And what I will say, if you look at Bill Gates, you know, or the Tesla guy, like all of those people that did something major, I don't think people really think about like the work that I put in figuring out how to make all of this like happen. Back then it was like this. So anybody that knows me, in 2005, the studio looked exactly the same type of stuff, a couple of new pieces, but the wires all over the place, cameras, and like it all worked, and it worked professionally too. Like it wasn't like no thing I just threw together. It was like,
right.
He got the 4 mics, he got the colored mic pads. They was always clean. Shout out to Kev. They was always like, I always bought new ones. I went to the store like every month and replaced them, and so they all stayed fresh. Like that was like my fresh. Everything was clean. I had Demetrius with me. Demetrius, oh my God, Shines. They was my young guys that would make sure the studio stayed clean. I taught them how to be entrepreneurs from scratch. So I did a lot of work on some people that when I look at where they are now, I'm like, I did that work with you. Like I was there, like putting you on, like, you know what I mean? The Rocky Thunder, she's now running around with Floyd Mayweather, and I see her on Instagram, and I'm like, you know what I mean? You could throw the ladder back down at this point now.
Right.
Like, the big jets and all that. But and it's funny, I just texted her the other day on Instagram and she responded back, Happy New Year's. But I'm just like, you know, someone shouldn't have to say they need help. I guess it looks so effortless, but at some point I feel like we get to a point where it's like, all right, boom, I did here, and now somebody's gonna take it up to the next level. But that don't mean I just fall off because I was ahead of my time at that time. I was already doing stuff that they just catching up to it now. Like this pandemic, you're starting to see a lot of the things that Kev knows that we was doing visual, audio, video, which was, I call it radio vision. Shout out to my guy Jay Rilla from Chicago. Like I coined that phrase back then, radio vision, because it was radio with vision. Like so, and that's why nobody else was doing that, but now it's a thing. Now it's
Absolutely. I think I'm gonna give some free game or free ideas to anybody listening. If there's a person that does a hip hop, you know, documentary, and doesn't only focus on rappers, that focuses on every league of hip hop and want to talk about the division of, you know, like I said, the Ralph McDaniels and the video, you know, he did the Video Music Box and all the people after him, whatever. You got to add Damien at the Matrix Studios in that. So if any documentary people are out there, you know, I think it would be kind of cool for somebody to come up with something like that, put like the best moments or, you know, a yearbook together, throw it up on YouTube, but you definitely deserve that. Or, you know, any type of like award show for people who, you know, I know that my homeboy Pop from Project Heat, I had him on my podcast. He does the Urban Web Series Awards for all the web series. He was like the very first one to come up with the Pop. Yeah, shout to Pop. But they need some type of like, you know, maybe I could talk to him about having a category for people like Damien. But if nobody else told you, I'm going to tell you, you know, you're solidified. Keep doing what you're doing. You're an inspiration to me. You know, regardless if people give you your flowers or not, your mark is in this industry. You have people like, you didn't even know, maybe it wasn't 2005. Maybe it was 2006 or 7. I don't remember the year, but it was definitely it was before I graduated college. So maybe it was like,
I got into that studio at 2005. 4, excuse me, at 4. So, and the walls were still white. So if you figure out what color the walls was, I probably could tell you what year it was.
I just remember your brand colors were the green, the black. I just remember the green. Your brand colors were always the same. I just remember the green because that's another thing that sticks out. You think about the Matrix Studios, you always think about your brand colors. They were still the same back then. But shout out to 8. It was his Street Disciples radio show.
In Amara. So what we'll do is I'll talk to 8 and we'll figure out when he started and then when that time was, and we'll get back to that.
Yeah, they was looking for a host. Yeah. So, but shout out to 8 and his co-host Myra and everybody that was involved with that. But yeah, so all right. So now, besides that, Damien, what advice, since you've been in this game for a real long time, and what advice would you give new entrepreneurs not to get taken advantage of in this business? Or what advice would you give them where you had to learn some type of lesson the hard way? So either how not to get taken advantage of, or what is the best advice you would give like a brand new entrepreneur that's like stepping out there to open up their own business?
I would think if you're doing something and you feel like you get this feeling like, yo, this is different, like is nobody doing that, figure out a way to say that the same way these big corporations are able to get credit for copyright of an idea. Do that. Like, don't think that is just something regular, because that's what I was doing. I was thinking that what we're doing now was just like, everybody's gonna be able to do it, so this is for everybody. But I could have really been the guy at that time to really say, I'm the guy that created internet radio in New York City. Like, I could have been that guy, because there wasn't nobody to my left or my right at all.
Yeah. It is the truth though. Say it. Flex.
Yeah. And now you can't really like you could say when internet radio started, but I'm just saying what I say is the business of networking a bunch of shows and making everybody cohesively work together under one brand for the amount of time that I did is what I specialize in. Not just producing a show, like, because to be frank, I can produce Drink Champs by myself. I don't need a whole team for that. I probably could need camera help. I can do Joe Budden show. Like, I could do all those shows. I don't need, like, they could have came to me like before they did that, and I would have had them lit. But what happened was, other people got involved and they got all these big people to do sponsors, right? And to do something that was still not necessary. Like, because it was not that hard. He was the talent. Like, those guys are the talent, and then you just got cameras on them, and then it grows. If you look at the shows, they progress and they get better, obviously, with technology. But I would just say that I would definitely have, and that's not taken away from anybody else, but I just don't like the fact when I'm like a one-man band with the help of people like Kev Pryor, yourself, Broadway. I got a cast of people that help me along the way. But as far as coming up with the concept and the idea, normally, like, I sat with it and I figured it out in the studio, late nights, long nights, unplugging wires, plugging this in, plugging that in, seeing if this works, buying this web camera, going to the store, taking this back, like, I went through that process. So I just think that to answer your question again, if you are somebody that has an idea and you do something that people are gravitating to, like, find a way to make sure that you get credit for that at the beginning. Like, you don't want to be midway or at the end and then people start trying to, like, sideways on the back block give you your props, like, because it feels funny, like, what you was doing for the last 10 years, like, we don't have to do this right now. And I'm already in talks with the new museum that's coming up of hip hop history. It's going to be built in 2004 in the Bronx, and the guys that's running the small one that they have on 149th Street now already got me in. They already got their eyes on me because I'm working with them now, and then that's what's up. Some things. So they already, my man Reef definitely said, I'm putting the word in for you, D, because you've been putting in the work. So now it's for us. It's still for us, because y'all all coming with me, because y'all all been a part of this last 20 years.
Absolutely. So 2024, right? You said 2004. You meant 2024, right?
My bad.
Yep. Absolutely. And Kev, I'm going to ask you the same question. What advice would you give new entrepreneurs, either not to get taken advantage of, or if you want to answer the question, what was the biggest lesson you learned in your journey becoming a business owner?
Well, I'll answer the prior one. For me, the biggest lesson I learned in this journey is just I can care less what anybody else thinks. I realized that when you start this thing, and I talk to a lot of people who do shows and productions, and again, I always say, listen, if you don't like it, then there's a good chance somebody else would. If you like what you're doing, like what you're saying, there's a chance somebody else will like it. So again, when I first started 950, and even to this day, I have to like it. I got to feel comfortable with it. You know, I'm a stickler for you know, for preciseness. You know, a little thing can tick me off. But again, if I like it, then that means I don't really care what anybody else thinks, because somebody's going to like it because I put the work in to do it. So I would just tell somebody, follow you, look in the mirror and just be yourself. You know, again, it's a million things out here between podcasts and shows,
right,
and so shows, and 1,000,005 networks to watch and listen to. So the only thing that you got unique is you. That
absolutely.
is the only thing that somebody can't reinform or reduplicate. They can't reduplicate a DWI. They can't reduplicate a Kevin Pryor or Angie. So just be you. Don't be the character you think somebody wants to see. Just be yourself. And the other thing is, this is the golden age of the independent. They'll read about this time maybe when we're all long been gone and say, wow, COVID and technology boom and people working from home. And like Dee mentioned, the Jetsons really came to life in 2020 and beyond,
right,
because now everything is, you have no choice but to work out of a box. And I think, again, with technology, with the networks like CBS giving away selling all their radio stations off, with people now using their phones, smart TVs, talk to phones and iPads, the ability to say, hey, Angie can create a show right from my doorstep, stream it out to the world, because now agencies are looking at smaller brands and looking at how they can attack from a ground roots perspective.
right.
Now be able to go to an agency and sell her show. You couldn't do that 10, 15 years ago. When I first started in media, unless you had a budget or somebody was going to bring you in, or you was buying radio time in a terrestrial, that was the only way you was getting on. We can create these lanes now. We can create our own media. That's why I get so annoyed. And I'm not telling anybody to be me, but I get so annoyed when people have a pulpit. They have a power to reach the people, and they put the same rhetoric and the same BS that they complain or we see on TV.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the things when we started this network, talking to some of the partners I'm with, my thing was, I don't want to be involved. It was like, you're going to be, and I'm not going to mention no names, but there's a lot of networks out here that just perpetrate people of color in a way that I'm not comfortable with. Now, somebody can say, Kev, you know, you at a certain age now to get off my lawn age, but that's fine. But you know what? I still believe that there's a place for quality stuff that puts us in great light. Yeah, we got ratchet layers, but you don't have to be ratchet 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
It could be some things that uplift us, that make us feel good, that make us be more productive, that can help us grow. And that's the type of network and the type of show that we've always done. And people know our show. We've brought strippers and all type of people on. But the reality is that we never demean or defame anybody. We just kind of have great conversation, great topics, and have enjoyment where people go, wow, I want to come back there. And I think in all the years I've done my show, there might have been just maybe one or two people, I can count on my finger, that has like, oh man, you know, I don't know if I'm messing with y'all no more. But 98% of people want to come back, and that's not because of me or the cast, because of the energy and the people that we surround ourselves with. So to tell folks, just do what you follow your heart and just do it. Because, you know, I started this thing late in life. I wasn't like, you know, like 18, 19 doing this. I started later on. And people told me, people that was close to me, are you wasting your time? Why are you throwing your money away? And so don't listen to folks. Just do what you want and follow and be unique to you and your audience.
That is phenomenal advice from the desk of Kevin Pryor and DWI. So before we get into some hot topics and games, I'll start with you, D. Tell me what you're excited for in 2022 and what you have coming up. What is it that is in the world of Damien that you're excited about?
222, I'm as we talked earlier in the show, I believe this is my actual 20 years of broadcasting that I'm actually going to celebrate in a way where I'm going to do some some new great things, but I'm not going to be so humble anymore. I'm really going to have some certain conversations to really wake people up, just to bring knowledge to the people that's not knowledgeable on some of the things that we talked about prior to this show. And if you just caught this part of the show, you might want to rewind and see what I'm talking about.
Rewind.
Mm-hmm.
So Damien, he's flexing in 2022. So let me put his his
down below here.
Somewhere. Yeah, I'm about to put your stuff down below. Make sure you tap in with him. And he got a lot going on, you know. Oh, also, you know, follow us on Clubhouse, What New York Sounds Like. You know what I noticed? You know, a lot of people, my consensus on Clubhouse is a lot of people try to stray away from Clubhouse because there's not that immediate monetization. So if they feel like they come on the platform and there's no money on it, they want to leave. But what they don't realize, yes, there is a give money feature, but the relationships that if you have a little bit of patience and you establish it, this is my opinion. This doesn't have to be everybody's, but if you have a little bit of patience, you establish yourself on Clubhouse, you make the connections with the people, it can result in good things happening for you, which will then result in monetization. Do you feel like that, Damien?
I feel like yes, but I feel like another way to think about it is when Instagram and Facebook came out, who was worrying about getting money? Like, who was getting money off of that? Like, those was just being used just to be used. Like, I felt like, yeah, you made connections with people, but I didn't feel like it was this heavy incentive.
Make money right now.
Outside of LinkedIn. LinkedIn was the only one that was like, all right, let's go there and talk about business. But Instagram, I just so recently it started turning into this heavy commercialized, oh, I'm gonna make a commercial, we're gonna pay for ads and all that. That just started happening. That hasn't been happening for the whole time of Clubhouse. I mean, Instagram. So the fact that all these other apps, WhatsApp is not used to make money, it's used to help you move around conversations and money, but not so much to make money. So I felt like YouTube is made to put your content out there, say yes, you can make money and you can show your work. Again, all of these things are like platforms or tools, but they're not like Clubhouse has made it like where they made it where you can put links up, you can get paid, like a link that you can get paid. You can create a room and people will come in and pay you for content and information that you're talking about. So that's the goal that they have it, but people think that in 1 year you're supposed to strike gold. Like,
right.
I think you're supposed to do as me and you've been doing. We're supposed to build up, all three of us. We just build up your following with quality people that will bring more money to you from things that you do by word of mouth. But them saying, oh, yo, my man Kev Pryor is into sports, you need him, get him on your show, and then he makes a bag off of that. Or Angie's a dope moderator. Angie got a podcast. You need to be interviewed on her joint for press. Boom.
Right.
DWI has a studio in New York City. You need to go check him when you go to New York. Like, that's how I see it. I don't see it like when I go on Clubhouse that I'm gonna get this whole wad of money to come, because everybody's gunning for the same thing. But the trick is they don't all have what we have on the ground. Like, they got only what Clubhouse has for the most part.
Absolutely. That's gems right there. That's exactly how I look at it. So tap in with D at The Matrix Studio. That's his Instagram. From there, you can get all the links to what he's doing on his YouTube, his radio shows, all the different, charity events that he does, all the lives that he does, all the work that he does with various rappers. Tap in with us at What New York Sounds Like. And I'm going to take it over to you, Kev. What are you excited for in 2022? And what do you have going on? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, for me, Angie, I kind of look at things. I don't look at like New Year's resolutions, right? Like after 2018, I didn't mention this earlier. I had it's crazy because it was 4 days right after I did the AOC interview. I had discovered I had a blood clot in my chest and lung.
Oh my God.
It was just I was a walking time bomb, didn't even know it. So, sitting in ICU for 3 days makes you think about how you gonna, once you get out of this thing, if you get out of this thing, how you gonna revamp yourself. And the running I lost like 60 pounds. So
congratulations.
Thank you. My mindset when I come to years, I don't break it into years. I kind of break my stuff into quarters. So like, somebody goes, okay, what you doing for 2022? Well, I already have my agenda set for this quarter that maybe ends in February. So for me, is continue health. That's always the same what I do, because again, without health, I can't do nothing. Again, to be transparent about putting the best product out there. While I feel like my show is great, I don't compete with anybody, but the competitive nature in me always wants to be the best. Launching this new network with my partners with Catch Cod, bringing that to the table. Again, being able to take programs like this and a lot of stuff that D has and pop them on iHeart and Amazon Prime Music, and we have that access now. So again, growing, I like to call the 950 universe. And then obviously me and my brother, we're looking at doing some, starting our own trucking business, 950 trucking. There's a lot of things that, at this stage in my life, I continually stay entrepreneurial, because that's just the only way I can think. Because everything to me is an opportunity to win. You guys mentioned Clubhouse, and I don't like any other app or any other connection. I look at Clubhouse just a way of communicating. I never really thought about it from a standpoint of making money on it, because I know there are a lot of cynics that feel like, like any other social media platform, you can be anything you want on social media unless somebody starts to verify and vet you. So I just look at it as an opportunity to network and grow and meet people. I don't take it too high. I don't take it too low.
Right.
And I know there are rooms like any other thing in this world. There are places you can go that necessarily not your cup of tea, but if you keep looking, you'll find something that fits, a la the Goldilocks mentality. You'll find the right bed that fits and the right soup that won't burn your tongue. So I tell people who don't use it, just again, it's another way of communication. To me, I don't look at it any different than any other app of communication to the outside world, or to reach my boundaries for people I don't know who would never meet in person.
Absolutely. People just think, oh, what am I going to go in there for? Just to sit around and talk in a room. But if you use it wisely, it could really help you out. So that's from the desk of Kevin and Damien. So now, guys, I'm not going to keep y'all here all night. Usually what I do is I play a few games with my guests before we get up out of here. So y'all ready to play? First, before we get into the game, red flag or deal breaker, there's some hot topics that I wanted to talk to y'all about. So y'all ready to talk about some hot topics?
Let's do it.
All right. This topic. Well, this podcast is probably not going to come out for like 1 to 2, probably like 2 weeks. So by the time people see it, it's going to be lukewarm news. But today, this topic is hotter than fish grease. All right. So Kanye West went publicly on Instagram today. He had a rant. He said he wants to wish his daughter a happy birthday. And he came out and told us he wasn't allowed to know the address of where Chicago's birthday party was at. He said that he tried to call Tristan to ask Chloe for the address. They were playing games. He insinuated that baby moms and grandmas is playing games, and he basically was just coming out to the public and said, this new year, I'm going to control my narrative. I'm not going to let people say what they want to say about me. He said that if I don't show up to my daughter's party today, it's going to be imprinted in my daughter's mind that I didn't want to be there. But I'm coming out to y'all and I'm letting y'all know that I was not given an address to my daughter's party. I can't get in. Social media was in a frenzy. We have an update. Kanye West was allowed in the building. He's at his daughter Chicago's birthday party. Now, I'm gonna start with you, Kev, and then I'm gonna go to Damien. It's getting a little messy now. Before I say my opinion, I'm gonna go to you, Kev, and then Damien. What do you think about? Did you hear about this? Do you know what's going on? Everybody's talking about it. Clubhouse. I just heard a friend of mine said that Clubhouse had rooms about it. Rooms are getting boomed. People are arguing. YouTube people are making videos. It's a shit show right now. So what is your opinion on this whole saga with Kanye West and Kim and the kids?
Well, to me, Kanye West is a musical genius, right? He doesn't need the social media to push his agenda of being a great artist. I know the song he just did with The Game, Easy, one of the best songs I've heard. Again, and I'm an older cat. One of the best songs I've heard in a long time.
That cover art is scary. That cover art is a little scary. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a skin monkey, but
I know.
I'm sure it's got some relevance to it.
Oh, easy.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, with the game. It's on the games joint. You can go to Spotify. It's free for 24 hours.
I'm a game.
But that song.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, man. That song to me, he talks about buying the house across the street. He talks about making his kids not be so privileged. He talks about Pete Davidson, and I think again the situation that's going on from Kanye's perspective doesn't have to be played in social media. Now, we know how the Kardashians move. That's how they make their money. Everything is about presentation. Everything's about image. Maybe in a way, Kanye's saying, I'm going to spit it back the way you guys spit it at everybody else. I just think that this whole situation has gotten a lot messy.
Right.
I don't know what led to, again, I don't follow Kanye and Kim like that. I don't know what led to them having a divorce. I know Kanye was having some issues and they said, he was living in Wyoming and the whole bit. But from the naked eye, now again, I'm a man, I don't have any kids, so I can't speak on that. And I respect the man. He needs to be at his daughter's party. That part.
Right.
And Tristan Thompson, I don't know how the hell he's even still in the loop, but that's for another day.
But I'll tell you my opinion why I think he slid that in there. But go ahead, Kev.
But with Tristan, but the thing that, with the Kardashians and with Kanye's having some weird behavior. Okay. Now look, if you want to say I bought the house across the street to be with my kids, I can't knock that. But I think it's bigger than just his kids. I think what Kanye's experiences, what a lot of men are experiencing, is the fact that when their woman leaves and goes to different things, it can bother them. It can mess with the ego. Kanye West is a gentleman is not used to losing a lot of battles. Because again, he's smart, he's intelligent, makes a lot of money. Kim Kardashian is now going on pizza dates with Pete Davidson, hanging out in Staten Island. That's not the Kardashian way. So maybe in a strange way, this woman's seen a wholly different side of life that she never saw with anybody else. Everybody else is on the image of presentation and being a star. And, while Pete Davidson, he's a star, but he's on Saturday Night Live. He's not,
right.
He might be becoming A-list, but he's not A-list yet. So
right.
I think, again, for a woman of Kim's stature, the date a kid 12, 13 years younger, that's showing her a different part of life, showing her a more simplistic part of life, might be something that she's never experienced in her entire being. And
right.
I think that the part that Kanye, because remember, Kanye took her from the basketball player, Humphrey.
Reggie. Oh, yeah, Humphrey.
She was married to Humphrey, whatever his first name, Humphreys, for 60 days.
Chris.
And they got divorced. He's been chasing this woman for a long time. I think, again, it's just a hard pill to swallow. And, the kids should not be involved in this, but I think it's bigger than just the kids with Kanye. It's that, his woman chose somebody else. And they claim that Pete Davidson is carrying. So maybe that's part of it too. I mean, it's a lot of challengedness, but I hate to see there's still real people, and you can't go to your daughter's party is wrong on
right.
How popular or celeb wise, that's wrong.
He said that he was supposed to be in Miami today, but he didn't go because, his life revolves around, his children, and his first priority is taking his kids to school and doing different things of that nature, which is why he stays in.
Because as black men, we get criticized for not doing those
things. That's what he said in his clip today when he was ranting about not being allowed in the party. So Damien, I don't know if you've been busy today. So this is literally breaking news that just happened about an hour or two ago. So I don't know if you got a chance to check out that clip where Kanye was ranting about he was literally in the car with the GPS on, and he's like, they're not giving me the address. I need to be able to get in my daughter's party. I'm controlling the narrative. This is, I'm calling everybody. The grandmother's playing games. The mom's playing games. I don't want my daughter to think I don't want to be in her life. Eventually, he was able to get in, but I don't know if you saw what's going on with that. What is your opinion on this situation?
All I saw in passing was him holding her, swinging at the number 4 on the piano. I think that's what I seen. I don't know. I didn't know why I was seeing that, so I didn't know what the backstory was. But what I will say is, from a man that has been through the court system early in my child's life, like, you don't want to hear nothing from nobody. First of all, you don't want to hear nothing from nobody, not the judge, not the cops, not nobody, when it's time for you to see your child that you helped create. And that's just me speaking from fact. I don't know what else. I don't care who she is, how famous she is, who her mother is. I don't care about none of that. I just want to see Dejan when I want to see Dejan, because that's the mindset you have, and that's me, humble DWI. That's not I got all this money and who you talking to, Kanye. So that's a whole other level of him feeling how you feel. But as a father, as a father that wants to be there and that has every right to be there outside of not being in a relationship, like this, it should not be a secret of where the party is, like, for your child, like.
Well, you know they're going to have the media blasted anyway, so it ain't like these are private folks that live their life in obscurity. Right. They everything they do is cameras. So that's the embarrassing part about it. Like, look, you know, you don't want to be with the man no more. You don't want, but that has nothing to do with the kids. That should be separate. And you know, it's sad that they now seem like the kids are getting involved with their relationship or not lack of.
Wow, good luck to them. I just hope that they're able to rectify whatever issues they have internally, and it doesn't turn into a media storm. I'm not going to give my hot take too much, because after this, I'm going to go on my YouTube live and talk about this further, because I want it to be like in real time, because everybody's talking about it right now. But what I will say is that I hope that in the future they're able to deal with this and rectify this, because it's getting really messy. And we're talking about 4 kids here, and these are public figures, and it could become a lot. But talking about Kanye, the next thing was, I don't know if you guys saw this interview. I didn't get a chance. I don't even know if the interview's out yet, but I saw clips of it. Jason Lee had an interview with Kanye West, and he cleared up the rumors about buying the house across the street from Kim. He basically told Jason Lee that he did it due to, you know, being in his kids' lives and being able to take them to school and them having a place to just go to right across the street. So I believe him. Do you guys believe?
All right. Yeah. I got the money. I'm going right across the street. What you want to do?
Coming right. What do you think?
I would do it.
I mean, I don't think they live on a regular block. I'm sure it's like some blockage there, some gates and stuff like that. But listen, to think that Kim knows the man she was married to, the man she's had 4 kids with, I think it's a little off to live across the street. But again, if the kids is his reasoning behind it, nobody can knock that. The question is the kids the only reason? Now, we'll never know that, probably none of our business. But again, like, you know, your ex-wife has been gallivanting around the country and the world with a hotshot dude that you used to be friends with.
Oh, they were friends?
They used to be friends.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's pictures with him and Pete Davidson, you know. I don't know how close they were, but you know, they've been in rooms together, which is a whole nother story, you know, which I don't agree with. But again, like I said, it's just not a good situation from that standpoint, because to think that, you know, when you're making comments and music and on interviews, they're gonna run into each other at some award show or some event, and what's gonna happen there? You know,
I mean, listen. I'm not trying to be mean, but this new relationship with Pete Davidson is a snooze fest. Let's keep it real and talk about this young tenderoni that Kanye West is running around. This Julia Fox or whatever her name is, that the paparazzi, that's the apple of everybody's eye. He's living his best life. They're snapping pictures of her. Kanye is dressing her. He's doing the same steps that he used to do to Kim. So now she's the popping girl. Do you think that there's any spite in what Kim is doing? Because everything seemed okay with the kids until Kanye West started running around town with his little young thing, you know? Now all of a sudden it's the issue for him to get in his kids' party. So do you think it's some type of spite there where Kim might be jealous of the situation? And I love Kim, but I'm just thinking, you know, could it be?
Of course she is. Again, again,
because
like
now she doesn't have the attention. Now she's in baseball caps having boring pizza dates in Staten Island, and he's getting it popping, making out on the floor, rolling around the closet and stuff with Julia Fox.
But I heard something the other day that paparazzi in there. They said it was the issue with him and Julia, that him and Fox, that they weren't, that he wasn't so thrilled to be around her. I think personally, in my opinion, I think Kanye's on a rebound. I think, again, if you follow this whole narrative, which I really don't, but I do a show, so I kind of peek in and out. In every relationship, there's one person that loves more than the other. I think in this relationship, Kanye loved Kim more. Remember, Kanye chased this woman for years. Even back to the times when she was, the Ray J years. Kanye. Right. So again, he finally got this woman, and for whatever reason, they had some issues. I don't know what might have caused that, but nevertheless, it seems like Kim has moved on. And it's to just, again, from the naked eye, it just seems like Kanye is trying to hang on. The boring part with Kim is to me, sign of growth. When Kim worked with Van Jones to be a lawyer and helping people get out of jail, that was a sign of growth. Like, all right, you don't have to be the chick taking back shots from Ray J. You already did. You already took the shots for the family. Y'all made your money.
Right.
You was the mercenary. Whatever it is. So I think she's
not taking back shots for the family. I'm dead.
Shots for the family. She laid on the cross. So I think at this point in her life, it's like, nah, you got the other sisters for that. You don't need me for that. I think she's mentally growing while Kanye is still trying to pull it in. There was no, okay, in the court of social opinion, does it matter? Maybe it does matter to the Kardashians that he didn't know where his daughter's thing is at. But Kanye has enough leverage and reach to find out where a party's at in Calabasas. So, again, I think just from, and I don't know this to be fact, it just seems like he's the one trying to hold on. Because, again, he's doing all of the dressing and all the stuff. He wasn't, listen, you ain't got to go do all that. Everybody knows how you move.
Right.
Your fashion empire, your musical genius. Your ex-wife's having pizza. So when somebody's at a calm like that, normally the person who's calm is the one who's winning. Because I don't have to show out no more. I'm done. I ain't got to do it.
I don't think Kim is done with the limelight, though. She loves to be that center of attention.
I mean that,
No, I see what you're saying. She's evolved.
Yes, right.
I get it.
Yeah.
Good luck to them. Moving on, guys. I don't know if you guys are in tune with this, but Kodak Black was in the news this week. He was allegedly having sex in a luxury suite at an NHL game. Damien, I'm going to start with you. What is your thought on this?
I didn't know what was going on in there. That looked like some Fraggle Rock looking action there.
Not Fraggle Rock.
Was he wearing the mask?
Nah, no mask. You just couldn't really see it. You can see his hair, but then you see the little chick throwing it back on. I didn't know they was actually having sex, but
allegedly that's what was going on.
Why was this? Well, was his pants down? I really, again, I glanced at it. I didn't really not a porn. It wasn't on Pornhub, so I'm not trying to get.
Allegedly, it looked to me like that was happening, but
Kodak out, huh?
What do you think, Kev, about getting it popping in the NHL suite for everybody to see?
Hey, he paid for the suite. Listen, it is what it is. There probably wasn't a lot of people there for social distancing reasons. So everybody there was in that room.
Except for the cameras that we all saw.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I'm surprised Kodak Black's at a hockey game. But
I'm surprised somebody wants to sleep with Kodak Black, but that's another story.
Money make you gorgeous. Not
money make you gorgeous. I'm done.
But I'm sure he ain't the first, and he won't be the last.
Shout out to Kodak Black and the girl that was twerking on him. All right, moving on. I'm not gonna keep y'all here all night because I want to get to red flag and deal breaker because those questions are fun. Okay. Tiffany Haddish arrested for DUI after falling asleep at the wheel. Damien, thoughts?
I fell asleep at the wheel plenty of nights after being tired and drinking and getting
allegedly
almost home. Allegedly, I guess
he wasn't drinking.
if they caught her, I mean, I wasn't drunk, but I mean, what happens is when you drink early and then you out and you get tired, you wind up getting almost home, and then you like at the light and you fall asleep. But you're not drunk, you just like sleep. Like, tired.
To her credit, she did pull over though. And yeah, she wasn't like at the light. She pulled over, and that's when she fell asleep. So, you know, she had enough common sense to say, I'm not, you know, I can't continue. Let me pull off.
Oh, and they still gave her DUI?
Yeah, because in the state of Georgia, that you know, if you're behind the wheel,
she should have went in the passenger seat and took a nap and reclined the passenger seat.
But that happens in Tennessee as well. The state of Tennessee, even you can be in a car in the passenger seat and be drunk. If it's your car, you're still getting arrested.
Oh wow!
Now Georgia's a little different, but yeah, because she was still behind the wheel, even pulled over, they can still give you for DUI.
Damn, I think she might be going through something. Didn't she recently break up with her boyfriend? I forgot who she was with. Common, yeah. They recently broke up, so maybe she just been out partying, trying to take the pain away, and she just got tired. She recently cut her hair off and dyed it blonde, so she's probably going through some changes. But shout out to Tiffany Haddish. I know she'll have some good lawyers to get her out of this.
Up for her.
Absolutely. All right. So LL Cool J recently turns 54. Happy birthday to LL Cool J. Who do we want to see him battle in the next verses? A lot of people, I think Damien did room yesterday. LL versus Busta. I even said LL versus Busta because their career.
It went down to the 19th song. From what they picked, I think it can work. It can actually work.
What you think, Kev?
I don't know if I want to see him against Busta, because when I think of L, you know, people,
they're both two entertainers.
Right? No doubt. But when you think of L, I you know, even though L, when you think about legacy, you're talking about 3 decades of excellence. I would like to see L kind of battle somebody from the 80s.
You don't think Busta went 3 decades? He got in the beginning parts of
Busta started in the 90s, early 90s. But L was in like the mid 80s.
He's still going longer than LL went. Like
no doubt. But L transitioned into the acting game. You know, he did the Will Smith route. But L started like in 84, 85. Busta came out 91, 92. I remember seeing leaders at the Rhythm Factory, you know, and that thing. But I would like to see, if I'm gonna see L on the verses, I want to see him somebody from that late 80s track. Give me a Rakim. You know, give me somebody in that era that, you know, would go against L, you know, in a versus. I mean, I don't have a problem with the Busta. I just think that, you know, by the early 90s, LL was transitioning into more of, you know, the Hey Lover and those type of styles raps, and Busta was starting to rev up and bring a different style of energy to the rap game. I think they're just two contrasts.
I see what you're saying, but I also see what Damien's saying. Although the Rakim started with LL, there was a point in where LL surpassed Rakim and kept going into the decades. So although he can
surpass Rakim,
no, I'm not saying like he's better and Rakim's not the GOAT. I'm talking about like time wise. So if you want to talk about the yardage, you know, yeah, they started at the same time, but then LL kept going decades down. So Busta could follow him down the verses lane. Right. I feel like there's up to a certain point that Rakim could go and it has to end. So he could only kind of battle him for the first half, but maybe the second half out of the 20, where is he going? So I could kind of understand what both of y'all saying.
But I think when I think of LL, and I think of like, you know, Radio Rock the Bell, Jiggling Baby. That was that 80. I'm bad. That was that 85.
Who do you love? He got then, like I'm telling you, we did it yesterday.
Paradise.
Like he had some joints that was like, yo, he got the 4, 5, 3, 2, 1 joint. He got joints that.
Oh no, L to me is one of the top to ever do it, because he has, to me, that longevity. He's almost down to longevity.
That's one thing we credit Busta is he's been making hits for a very long time. Scenario,
no doubt.
All the way down to Janet Jackson, and like he just Missy Elliott, like he just did mad stuff. But yeah,
no, I mean, listen, I would love to see it.
I don't know who else I would pair those two up to except Busta.
Me neither. Yeah, definitely. And while we're on verses, the conversation between Chris Brown versus Usher is starting to fuel in the media. What are you guys' thoughts?
They need to get a little boost in their situation. Both of them are getting a little stale right now. They still the greats, but it'd be great to see them perform and dance and all that stuff that they do. I seen Usher on skates the other day. I was like, oh, that was cute. He's on roller skates on the stage, like.
Don't fall.
I love them both, but I'm going for Usher. What about you, Kev? What you think about a Chris B versus Usher?
No, I mean I like Chris Breezy, but Usher to me, like, you know, I mean, again, I'm not a music guy. I'm not DWI, so you know, D is a aficionado. So I just go with stuff I like. So when I think about Usher, you know, Usher going back when he was like with Quincy, you know, like 14,
a kid,
15. Right? Exactly. So. You know, Chris, to me, obviously is an evolution of what Usher was. But yeah, I think that would be a good competition.
I'm going to say something super controversial, and I really don't care. I don't care because this is my opinion. The king of R&B, in Angela's opinion, and again, we're speaking about public figures, so I can have a right to speak about this. The king of R&B, in my personal opinion, is R. Kelly. The prince of R&B, in my personal opinion, is Usher. After Usher, we can say Chris Brown, in my opinion.
What about Bobby Brown?
Bobby Brown's like the grandfather at this point of R&B. He's like the papa. So you got Bobby Brown, then you got Usher. No, I'm sorry. You got Bobby Brown, then R. Kelly, then Usher, then Chris Brown, in my personal opinion. So,
well, my stretch is a little longer, you know. I mean,
there's people before Bobby, but I'm just saying. Like,
no doubt. I mean, look, you know, you can go a lot of different ways with that. Nobody can argue with that, you know. Maybe, you know, I don't know if you would call Prince. Prince is more pop.
Yeah, he's on that Michael Jackson type.
Right, they're more pop, you know. But you know, I think, you know, in his heyday, when Bobby. Now Bobby's the grandfather, but when Bobby in his heyday, that stretch of music, you know, even like Aaron Hall, who, you know, you think about, like, I think R. Kelly stole Aaron Hall's whole style.
He did.
And ran with it.
There is no R. Kelly. There is no R. Kelly with Aaron Hall, but at the end of the day, nobody could take away from. And again, I'm not talking about his personal life. I think it's disgusting of what happened. We're just talking about music. Yeah, he did, but what he did with it, I mean, you can't deny that.
Stole his whole style and ran with it, no question about it.
And continued to do his thing. One more question before we go into red flag or deal breaker, y'all. So Super Bowl is supposed to be headlined by Dr. Dre, and he's supposed to bring out Snoop, M, Kendrick, and Mary. So what is you guys' Super Bowl plans? Are you tapped into that? We'll go first with Kev.
It all depends what Omicron is doing. I mean, technically, I was supposed to be at the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
But that got shot down because nobody's jumping on no planes. I know I'm not. You know, it's funny we talk about the NFL a little bit. I'm a little, and I don't mean to make this a political show. We're having a good time, but I'm a little salty at the NFL right now. There's only one black head coach in the NFL right now, and they're firing black people like, you know, they're giving out pink slips faster and I don't know what. And I just think that, you know, there's something that needs to be done about that, because a league that has over 80%, 85% African-American with only one head coach and no ownership, you know, they appeased us with the artists. Think, yo, we'll give you Dr. Dre and Snoop, and, you know, we gotta stop being numb to stuff like that. But
the math is not mathing. The numbers need to go up in the population of black and brown people that are in the NFL, and I do agree with you. I was gonna go into the whole Antonio Brown story, but I don't want to keep y'all here all night. We still gotta play our little red flag or deal breaker game.
What about AB? What would you want to go about AB?
Just your opinion. Well, first let me go to Damien and see if he's excited for Super Bowl and Dr. Dre, and then the question that I was going to ask is what y'all opinion on the AB situation. But Damien, are you tapped into the Super Bowl? Do you still get excited for it? What's your plans this year? You should throw a Super Bowl party.
I'm not going to do it because I have the space to do it, and I'm going to make some money from doing it. But no, I'm not really. I've always missed the halftime shows anyway. Like I wind up running around doing a whole bunch of stuff, and then it's like, oh, shoot, the halftime show. But Mary, Dr. Dre, and Kendrick. So Dr.
And
Dre
Snoop.
too.
And Snoop.
Dr. Dre and Snoop. Oh, that's gonna be like an Up in Smoke tour.
And Mary and Dre. And Eminem. And Eminem too.
And Eminem too. That's a whole package. That's a whole Dr. Dre package.
He's bringing on his friends, so you already know if Dr. Dre makes the phone call, everybody's coming out for that.
Well, you know, Jay-Z is involved with the NFL on like halftime shows.
Oh yeah, he is.
That's why you're starting to see, because they would 4 or 5 years ago, you would never see
a
Dr. Dre doing and Snoop doing
Eminem is because you know they normally do a little poppy type of thing, and then they do like the little Garth Brooks or somebody will come in, you know, to just balance it out. So you think Eminem is the balance this time?
No, Eminem's not.
No, because Eminem's part of the Dre crew. So
yeah, they'll probably bring somebody in.
Some country singer.
Oh, okay.
No,
so it's going to be somebody else.
They'll probably bring Justin Timberlake or something like that in the kind of that'd be the balance or something.
No, because in that, you know what, I was going to say something controversial, but never mind, because I don't want this to haunt me in 2-3 years. They're going to take a clip of what I said and be like, she's not black and she said this and da 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 da. No, I was going to say Justin Timberlake to the NFL is probably still too.
Oh, right, because what he did to Janet. Right, I forgot about that.
I don't know. All right, guys. So, you ready to play Red Flag or Deal Breaker? So, Red Flag or Deal Breaker is the game that this is I'm going to read you guys the scenario, right? After I say the scenario, this is presuming you guys are single. Pretend like you guys don't have a significant other. I don't want to know if you have one or not, but pretend that you're dating someone, and I'm gonna give y'all this scenario, and you tell me if it's a red flag, a deal breaker, or you love it. All right. So here's the first. Disclosure? What you said, Damien?
I said, can I give you the disclosure?
Go ahead. Damien, we can't see you. You look like the guy from Scream. Okay.
So, all right, you know what?
We're not going to get into your personal business. This is just hypothetically.
Listen, I done got in trouble twice for hypotheticals. I thought I was okay with hypotheticals. But let's see the question.
Just listen to these are extremely light and airy, like hypotheticals. This is not like too deep. This is just a fun game. Okay. So the first thing, red flag, deal breaker, or love it. You meet a girl, everything is going great. You're into her, and she tells you she's vegan. Is that a red flag, a deal breaker, or love it? I'm going to go with Kev first.
Oh, at this stage of my life, I love it.
Okay. So that's a love it for Kev. Damien, you're dating a girl. Hypothetically, this is not, whatever. She tells you she's
not bad. I can answer this one.
She tells you she's vegan. Is that a red flag, a deal breaker, or you love it?
I love it.
Okay. So you guys would be okay with a girl that says she doesn't eat meat, she's vegan. Like vegan is very like strict, like no eggs, no bread, because bread is made with eggs and milk, no animal products at all. No type of meat and no type of animal products. No butter, no bread, no milk. Everything has to be special diet restrictions.
My whole life is gonna change. Hopefully it's gonna make me live longer, because if I die like 2 years later, I'm like, what was it all for? Like,
she must make a lot of money, because going to vegan shops ain't cheap. But nah, I mean, at this stage in the age I am, I'll take it.
All right, so it's a love it for Damien and Kev. Okay, scenario 2. I started y'all off with like a little, easy question. Now we're going to get into a little bit, All right, here's the scenario. After a few months dating, right? You have sex with the girl, protected, right? So you're dating the girl. After a few months dating, you guys have protected sex, right? After it's over, your date starts discussing different forms of birth control with you. She says that she has to be the one to provide the condoms always, because they need to be stored at a certain room temperature to be effective. And you always must use 2 forms of birth control at all times, and they must provide at least one of the methods. Is that a red flag, a deal breaker, or you out of there? So she's saying, listen, I have to be the one to provide the condoms. We're going to talk about birth control. What is it? Are you guys going to think like this girl is crazy? She could be trying to trap me. Does she not trust me? Like, what is it? Are you guys in a deal breaker? Red flag or you love this? Kev, I'll start with you.
Is she Megan Good? I think it's a red flag. I won't necessarily call it a deal breaker because I don't necessarily, people have their own background and what they experience, but that's something that we're going to have a conversation. And 1 foot is in and 1 foot is out. And I could get a little bit more graphic depending on her, her physique, but I won't go there. But I would have to say that's a red flag because I got to find out where is this coming from.
Got it. And what about you, Damien? Is that a red flag, a deal breaker, or you love it?
Well, there's certain condoms that fit me that I like the way they fit, and I've done the study already, and I did my research, and I've had my experience. So, if on her side it's a deal breaker, if I can't use that, then it's a deal breaker because now you're about to make me be uncomfortable, and I'm not about to be uncomfortable. However, it's a red flag, so it's in between those two. It's not a deal breaker, but it's definitely not. I'm not going with it off the top. So we definitely still gotta need some more information.
That would be a red flag for me if the guy is like he has to provide it. Okay, so if that was my situation and the guy is like, we have to use what birth control are you on? I need to know what form of birth control you're on. We have to use your form of birth control. Plus, I have to be the one to provide the condoms, and they have to be stored at a certain temperature. Number one, I would think that. What is it? You don't trust me? You think that I'm trying to trap you? And number two is
the goal to get to a point where you don't have to use condoms.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to say. So my issue is maybe you shouldn't be having sex with the person if you feel like you have to use multiple forms of birth control and you don't trust that person. So maybe you need to reevaluate who you're sleeping with. All right. Just two more questions and then we out of here. Okay.
Both of us are Taurus, right? So you might get all the same answers.
I'm an Aries, so maybe. Well, oh yeah, the two Taurus guys right here. All right. So you go out with this girl, right? So we're gonna start with you, Kev. You go out with the girl, right? And they make multiple references about not liking men who are quote unquote high maintenance. They tell you that you don't seem, and remember, high maintenance is non-binary. It doesn't only have to be, women. Mm-hmm. So they tell you, they make multiple references about not liking people who are high maintenance, and they tell you that you don't seem as high maintenance as they thought you would be based on your social media, right? They said that their last partner complained in their last relationship. They were too high maintenance and the person constantly nagged. Now, if a person is telling you this on a date, is that a red flag, a deal breaker, or you love it?
As the great Dave Hollister once said, I gotta go. Well, that's why
is that a deal breaker? Tell me.
Because again, in date number one, we should be trying to generate chemistry. We should be learning one another. If you coming in with demands and what you perceive my Instagram look like, all I do on my Instagram is run and do 950. So if you have this thought about me from Instagram and you don't want to know the person that's in front of you that's paying for your meal, because I'm a gentleman, right? Then I gotta go. No, I might leave halfway in. I might just say, here, you know what, waiter, here's good night, and just leave her right there at the dinner table because time is of the essence. There ain't no time for that. Nah,
you out of there. You clip shorty.
You've been in too many bad clubhouse rooms, and you don't get the persona. So that's I'm out of there. That's a
clip. What about you, Damien? What we doing? Red flag, deal breaker, or you love it?
Give me this scenario just one more time. Let me just Kev
Okay, so the scenario is you meet this chick, right? Y'all only know each other, either you meet her either off a dating app or Instagram or whatever, and you guys go out on a date, right? And the girl is telling you that they making multiple references throughout the date about not liking men who are high maintenance. They tell you that you don't seem as high maintenance as they thought you would be based on your social media. Maybe, you was in your car or your studio, or maybe they thought you was some type of high maintenance dude, right? And then they said that their last relationship, they complained that their last relationship was too high maintenance and the person constantly nagged them. Mm-hmm. Is that a red flag, a deal breaker, or you love it?
Like she wants me to be a nag now because I'm not as naggy as the last guy?
Nah, she was telling you
for being a cool dude.
She basically was, she was giving you credit like, oh, I thought she was going to be high maintenance based on your social media profile. You know, my last man, he constantly nagged me.
That is what do we call that? That's generalizing, you know,
right?
Or you know, what is that the word I'm looking for? Or is there another word?
Yeah, you're making a generalization based on my Instagram,
right? And I don't know. See, me being in the industry, sometimes it can come across like that. When people perceive me a lot different than what I am. Like that happens to me a lot. Like, so people come in with, you know, they come in hot all the time. Like, oh, he's around celebrities and stars, or you know, they might not know my life, so they might just think that, you know, I'm Kanye West out here. I don't know what people perceive. So I've gotten that before.
A lifeline.
Yeah, I got that before. So I would give it some time to give us some understanding about it. I wouldn't just be like, well, if you think this about me, then it's over. Now, if you're telling me that she's like automatically just telling me that I'm gonna be a certain way, or she's gonna treat me a certain way based off of this, and it's in a negative way, then yeah, I'm out of there. But if it's just her, oh, I thought you was gonna be a lot more harder, but you're actually cool, I wouldn't be mad about that.
No, but remember, she's in the date, right? Saying that she doesn't like high maintenance people.
I'm not high maintenance. So
she thought you.
See, right, but so that's probably why he was okay. Now,
and then she complains that her ex was high maintenance during the date. See, I'm a little bit more with Kev. My thing is,
why are we talking about the ex, right? Yeah,
exactly.
Right. And my thing is, okay, so if you thought I was high maintenance, then why did you still go on a date with me? Oh, so you thought I was, you know, what you thought this was going to be? You was going, oh yeah, I think she's high maintenance and she could be annoying, but she's cute enough to go on a date with and possibly try to pop. No, sir, I'm out of here. Bye. Deuces. All right, y'all, 2 more questions. So, all right, Kev. So you meet someone online only to find out that the first conversations that you and this person had, the messages were ghost written by their friend of the opposite sex. So you meet the chick.
Where do you get these questions from?
You meet the chick. Y'all had a great conversation. You know what I mean? You go on a date. Shorty tells you that her best friend, who's a guy, was ghostwriting that conversation. What do you do? Is that a red flag, a deal breaker, or you love it?
I damn sure don't love it. I want to say deal breaker, but it's probably a deal breaker. I hate to sound so shallow, but like I mean, I'm trying to give off. We had a great conversation about me being a business person. No, it's a deal breaker because again, it's like. At the end of the day, it's like, look, you know, first and foremost, I pride myself in the world of communication, right? So if something don't sound right or something that, you know, I feel like doesn't vibe, 9 out of 10, I'm gonna have that sixth sense. But if you tell me that, like, yeah, like, you know, the things I got you to get with you is from a dude. No, that I gotta
That's
go.
a wrap. What about you, Damien?
Gotta come take a hot shower.
You go on a date.
Right? I'm turned off. Why? Just hearing the question, I'm turned off. So
it's a wrap for Shorty.
It's not authentic. It didn't come from you. I got here on somebody else's game.
But what if she tells y'all, give me a chance? You know, I'm really awkward in the beginning. I didn't really know what to say. You know, my homeboy kind of knows. So, you know, he got on he just goes.
Next, the homeboy be waiting for you at the house. I'm out. Peace. This ain't the crying game. No.
I don't know what's going on.
All right. So it's clipped. Y'all are uncomfortable. Don't worry. We're moving on. All right. So it's clipped for Shorty. Listen. Thank you guys for being open-minded and playing with me. We got about 2 more questions and then we out of here. Damien, we can't see you. Move your hood, please, sir. Yes, now we can see you. Or come into the light.
Put them out.
There we go, Damien. All right.
Hold it here. Sorry.
It's okay. All right, Kev. All right, we're starting with you. They want to wait until marriage to move in to please their parents. Is that a red flag, a deal breaker, or you love it? The girl you're dating, you guys are getting to the point where you could be talking about getting serious, and she tells you she wants to wait until marriage to move in just to please her parents. What are we doing? Red flag, deal breaker, or you love it?
just to please her parents? Does she want to come, but because of her parents, she doesn't want to do it?
Right. So she says she wants to wait until marriage to move in because that will please her parents, because her parents are old school and believe that, before that a man and a woman should move in, they need to be married. So because she wants to honor her parents' wishes, she's telling you she won't move in until y'all get married. Is that a red flag, a deal breaker, or you love it?
It's kind of in between. I don't necessarily have a problem with it, so I could love it out of respect because, I come from a religious mother and I can understand that. But also, I need to have a conversation with you because where that starts, where else does it go? Okay, so if you know some hardcore religious parents, you can't go to movies, you can't wear pants. So how far does your situation with your parents go?
Right.
I don't have a problem with that if that's how you feel and we both accept it, but we're the ones in the relationship. So I won't say I love it. I'm not gonna say it's a red flag, but it's somewhere in the middle of that.
Got it. That's perfect. Because if they running your life with that, what else are they running? Because they can't be in a relationship. Totally. What about you, Damien? You dating a chick? Y'all are getting serious, and she told you,
"I gotta live with you for a little while. We don't even have to have sex. We don't have to have sex, but I gotta live with you. I gotta see what your daily habits are, like what it's like to wake up in the morning with you and go to bed at night." Because
absolutely,
you didn't come off the honeymoon and it'd be a pure nightmare. You'd be like, "What is this?" Like,
right? That's true. You move in with the chick or the guy, and then all of a sudden, well, the guy for me, the chick for y'all, and all of a sudden you start seeing the way people live and their habits.
Go back to Judge Mathis.
All right, guys, back again. Nah, not them remembering Damien. I'm dead. All right, y'all. Last question. I'll start with Damien. Damien, is this a red flag, a deal breaker, or you love it? They stay in touch with their ex. Red flag, deal breaker, or love it?
I swear, you got a funny way of, you know what? I hate it.
Okay. She's clipped. And why is the person clipped?
Because she hates me staying in touch with my ex. So I'm just showing equal opportunity right now.
Okie doke. We'll move right on to Kev. Is that a red flag, a deal breaker? You're dating a girl and this person is staying in touch with their ex. Is that a red flag, a deal breaker, or you love it?
I'm at the agree with my Taurus brother. She got to go. No. Again, like I said, I'm far from shallow, but this is making me sound shallow. If you again, like I said,
I agree.
You could run to somebody or have a conversation. I'm not gonna like that, but if you're in that type of situation where we're friends and this and that, then why the hell did y'all break up? You mom will go back to homie. No, because again, to me, a relationship with an individual is bigger than just physical. It's mental, spiritual, relationship, communication, best friends, confidant. And if you got that with somebody else, then we're lacking somewhere. And if we're lacking somewhere, we can't grow. If we can't grow, you gotta go.
Absolutely. Right? It depends. For me, I would say as long as it's not a situation as to y'all are in regular communication, seeing somebody on social media and double tapping on a picture once in a while is fine. But if it's like on some, you still going to dinner with this person's sister, or you stopping by for barbecues and y'all going to the mall together, that's a little too close for comfort.
All that happens. All of a sudden you fall into something, fall right into the gap.
Absolutely. Well, Kev, Damien, thank you guys so much for passing by and coming by my podcast. Thank you for playing this game. Thank you for this conversation. One more time before we get out of here, Kev, plug your stuff. Damien, plug your stuff. Where can they find you, Kev?
Again, you can catch 950 Lounge every morning, aka the best team in radio, on multiple platforms throughout the U.S. You can also catch us on iHeartRadio, Prime Music, Deezer, Pandora, and a bunch of others. Any place you get your listen to your podcast, you can find us. You can reach out to me. Best way to reach to me is 950Kev on Instagram and www.950lounge.com. And the best is yet to come.
I'm gonna put all their stuff in the description too. YouTube pages, Instagram pages, wherever you can find them. Damien, where could they lock in with you?
So okay, I'll go back. We go from YouTube, DSMBX TV. That's YouTube. You go to my website, dsmbx.online, and then you go to social media, DWI MUZIK or DA Matrix Studio without an S. And if you want to search me on Instagram, on the internet, it's just the Matrix Studios Network.
Absolutely. Again, thank you guys for coming. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. And I always say this, you could be anywhere in the world, but you decided to be in Angie's world. And for that, I love you. Guys, don't go nowhere, but we out of here. Peace.